Hello and welcome again to Gator Spotlight. Uh, Tonight's episode, I'm excited to bring up a couple of guys who are both in the Sub 2 and Gator communities. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been hearing a lot of people talking about PML, private money lending. And these guys have figured this out and they are seeing some great success in that. So let's bring them up and find out what they know and how they're making this happen. This is Travis and Jonathan.
Hello.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey, good. Good to see you, Tim.
Good to see you too. Yeah, great to have you guys on here on Gator Spotlight, and I'm excited to hear about what's been happening. It sounds like your business is kind of blown up just in a very short amount of time. When did you guys join Gator? I think you've been Sub 2 for a while, right?
Oh, all right. It's actually flipped between Travis and myself, but
Oh,
I'll
okay.
start. But I did start Gator. It was actually December 2022, like right after Christmas,
Okay.
and ended up doing my first PML deal myself in June 2023, and that's kind of like snowballed after that, and this led me to meet actually Travis and start a business relationship with him. But Sub 2, I actually joined in November 1st, and that was right after, believe it or not, going to Bigger Pocket Conference and just seeing Sub 2 and Pace and all this community. I was like, this is something that is truly amazing. That doesn't exist anywhere. I want to be part of it. I had a chance to talk with a bunch of Sub 2 students also before that. I was like, I want to be in. This is too good.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And so you were actually in Gator first, and then joined Sub 2 just recently. How about you, Travis? What's your journey look like?
So yeah, like Jonathan said, it's kind of flip-flopped, right? So I joined Sub 2 back in September of 2022, and I started wholesaling first. So
Mm,
I was doing that with a partner at first. Things didn't work out there, and then I went solo for a while. I ended up getting 3 deals done solo, and joined Gator in February of 2023. Um, and I did nothing with it. I kept wholesaling for a while. So I think it was probably June, somewhere between June and August is when I was kind of like, I paid the money to join Gator, but here I am doing the same stuff that I mean has been working, but it's like there's so much more money being left on the table. And
mm-hmm.
so, I pretty much started networking with other Gators and trying to learn more about the processes of private money, etc. And
Right.
eventually, after going through tons and tons of Zooms with other Gators, met Jonathan, and then the rest is history. So
Yeah. So that's awesome. So regardless of the fact that you guys kind of started opposite ends and then came together, but the great thing is when you guys came together now, what has happened? I think you said since September of 2023. How many deals have you guys done?
So we've done a total of 13 deals, and we funded $2 million worth of projects.
Wow. So $2 million of funding and private money lending.
Yeah.
And then what's your take on that? Like what's your profit on that, on lending that amount of money?
Yeah. I mean, so, we sometimes it's only Travis and myself as connectors. Sometimes it's like a third party as
Okay.
well. But it's total of $90,000 for everybody
Wow. That's
for the
fantastic.
connectors, and then for lenders, it's about $350,000 of profit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So how did you get started with um, with the private money lending?
Yeah.
Like how did you get started with that?
Yeah. So, you know, it's actually, I'm going to try to make it short, but when I joined in December, it's funny, the Travis story, because I echo a little bit what you lived. At the same time I joined Gator, I met a business partner on the acquisition business because my primary goal, believe it or not, was to acquire properties, and just, have passive income. And I didn't do much with the Gator training because at the same time I met a business partner on the acquisition side. So I put it on the side. But at some point, the business was taking long on the acquisition side. So I decided, looking at some trainings and courses and all that stuff. I tried to network a little bit, talk with different people in South Florida. I called title companies, saying I was doing EMD. I was kind of like not sure what I was doing without the paperwork and all that stuff.
Right.
It didn't yield much. However, after talking about myself and the fun that I had, etc., there's another sub 2 students in Gator that was like, "Hey, I have a deal for you. It's not a Gator deal. It's called a private money lending deal."
Okay.
What is this about? He told me about it, and it turns out that he actually encountered a deal thanks to another sub 2 student that went to a networking event that found a borrower that was looking for money, funding, in order to fund a fix and flip as a gap funding, right? So,
okay.
And I was presented with the deal. I did my best to underwrite it with the little knowledge that I had. Also leveraging the other sub 2 students, individuals. And I lent $75,000 for 4 months, and I was able to make $25,000. And
wow, that's great.
Through this, I learned the process of the PML, and my background is I'm a director of manufacturing engineer. So I basically have an engineering background. I love process, checklist, standards, procedures, and PML and real estate, frankly, is a big set of process. If you think about it, there's people, there's that are touching like some sort of like if-then functions that yield a result that could be measurable. And so, quickly I just started to realize that like there's a set of inputs that you need to understand, and then after that transform this into a deal in order to fund. And that's kind of like where we started to develop I developed the process with like some checklist. At the beginning, there's like emails flying around. It's like, oh, I need this amount of money for, and then you're like, okay, but for how long? Oh, for this. Okay, what is the return? And then you bounce like a million emails, and you're like, well, what if like someone what if there was just an intake form? Like if you want to do a deal, like I need to do all this information. Let me give you what I need. You give me this information. Then I take that, and then I can do the underwriting myself, and then decide if I'm going to fund or not. And then, and throughout this, at the same time, I get to meet Travis, and then we started to actually discuss creating a business. With that, but that's kind of like how it started in a short.
Yeah, version. That's great. That's great. So you really systematize the whole, input process, since there's so many people that are wanting that, kind of instead of just dealing with all this email traffic back and forth. Look, fill out this form. I'll analyze it, and if we can fund it, we'll fund it. Basically, make it simple, right? Keep it simple.
That's right. It's important because, like for us, so what we do is, even though we funded I funded my deal myself with Travis, what we do as a business is borrowers need funding, right? And they need funding in a way that meets our criteria, which is, a certain amount, a certain term, like a certain level of loan to value ratio, certain returns, all that good stuff. And we need a lot of information to see if like a deal is going to make sense, if it's going to be valid, if it's going to be safe. What is the chance that it's going to succeed? What is the team about, et cetera? And so the idea is that how do we systematize like understanding this? And so that's where we came up with the idea of like a form, a JOT form that has, I think it has now 200 conditions in it, but depending on what you select, that you need to provide all this information like duration, timeline, and documents and comps, analysis, and bio, and LLC's information, like so many information, so that we take all this information, we underwrite it, right? We look at all the data, just like technically a project manager would do. Is the deal, are the number making sense? Are they all backed up by like proof? And is the loan secured also by some sort of security or collateral, so that if there was a default, then the lender is protected. We call the team members. We verify the SOWs provided by the contractor. We double check also like the work from the contractor is doable with another contractor also that we have that we work with. And if it all makes sense, then this is where we present the deal to our lending community to say, hey, there's an opportunity here that we think, match our criteria. Like, is it something that like you would like to do?
Yeah, that's great. And that's what people need to do. They need to, you're doing the right thing. You're vetting these deals, you're underwriting these deals, you're checking all the, making sure everything checks out before presenting it to the community. And then as deals are working out, people can have confidence that if they have, money to invest, that they can invest with you guys because you're doing your due diligence up front. And that gives them a lot of protection in their investment. So that's wonderful. And the other thing I noticed you mentioned there along the way too was, what, none of us have all the answers, but we have a big community and we can plug into that community and get the answers we need and get the help we need. Yeah, I'm excited to learn from you guys. Definitely. I look forward to staying in touch and maybe we can do some PML deals together, knowing that you guys are doing such a good job on the front end, would bring some confidence to me to invest in some of the deals you're putting together, as well as maybe I can, if I have some people who need that lending, I can bring it to you and you guys can analyze it, see if that's a possibility. So this is really, you guys are providing an awesome service. I hope that more people will take advantage and reach out to you and plug in and be able to take advantage of that. So
yeah.
Travis, what has your experience been like in this whole thing?
I'm crazy. It's like I said, so I came from wholesaling rather than the private money background. So I came not knowing what to expect. There's already so many moving parts with any part of real estate, right? Even wholesaling, there's so many different skills you have to learn. You have to learn how to sell, you have to learn how to market, all of that good stuff, right? Underwrite, comp, etc. But then you get into the realm of private money, and now you're like having to learn, what a deed of trust is, promissory notes. I could keep going on the list, deed of lieu, etc. Right? And so I personally don't know all this stuff. That's why I leave it to the brains of the business with Jonathan, right? So he obviously has experience in this field, and so he's going to be much better dealing with that stuff. And so what I'm primarily looking to do is I'm looking to bring in leads. And so what we're looking for, there's so many different ways you can market as a Gator, especially with private money, Facebook groups, calling title companies, going meetups, there's a large list. You can get really creative with it too. You can run ads on social media, etc. But I think one of the biggest things that's helped us a lot is we work with a lot of baby Gators. And so we get a lot of these new people coming into Gator, and they're just as hungry as any other Gators, right? And so they're going out, they're finding leads, doing whichever way they're finding their leads, and they're like, all right, I got a lead. This is great. Now what? Right. So now they're kind of like, they have this lead, they don't know where to go with it.
Right.
And so what we like to do is we like to help these baby Gators get their first deal done, because there's something just so cool, right? Like when you get your first deal done in real estate, especially coming from a W-2 background, there's something so cool about just getting the first one done, because it's almost like it opens up like a whole new world, like in your head, because it's like you almost feel like when you're first doing it and everything's so hopeless because you're working harder and harder and harder every single day and nothing's happening. It almost feels like it's like one big like club that you're not part of, right? It almost feels like you're like, man, everybody's like playing a trick on me, and so you get your first deal done and it just removes that barrier. You're like, oh, okay, maybe this is real. I just made some money. So
yeah, it's that proof of concept, right? It's that proof of concept that gives you confidence to move forward, for sure.
Yep.
Well, that's great. Well, and guys,
so
I see big things for you.
Because, like,
Go ahead.
Yep. And so that's the thing, is like, it's not too long ago that we all got our first deal. And so to sit here and help multiple people get their first deal is it's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's great. Well, I see big things for your future there. I guess if I were to sum it up, I'd say you guys are kind of a PML clearinghouse. You've got new gators and wholesalers bringing things to you that you can process and say, is this going to work or not? And then on the back end, you're bringing in new gators and other people who have private money to lend, and you're connecting the need with the resource,
Right.
and you're providing a great service. So you definitely deserve to make the money you're making and more. So hopefully people will connect with you guys. And speaking of connecting with you guys, what would be the best way for people to get a hold of you? Obviously, I think you guys said that you're both on Facebook, so you can look up Travis and Jonathan on Facebook. But in addition to that, what would be another way people can get a hold of you guys?
Yeah, I think so. We have an email address, info@wisecapitalsolutions.com. So definitely reach out if you have leads, you want to work with us to create like a deal, or if you want to partner with us also in funding some of our deals. We'd love to help out. One of the things that like we want to continue doing is, the PML deals. Yes, they have a higher barriers of entry in terms of like fund. Like it's very quickly 40K, 50K, 650, all those crazy numbers. But it doesn't mean that like one person has to fund it all. One thing that like we really want to do is help people enter this kind of like space, and even for 1K or 2K, just to follow the process. I think like Travis said, there's nothing better than like seeing like someone receiving their first check because they contributed to a project, and learning about the process, and then just getting the confidence to know that they can get it done by themselves now. That's like so amazing. And so we really want to stress that this year. And if there's a way we can help people, we'd love to do it. So so don't hesitate to shoot us an email or like add us on Facebook. We'd love to chat with you guys.
Sounds great. Hey guys, appreciate it. Thank you so much for being on Gator Spotlight with us, and look forward to hearing more good news in the future of what you guys are accomplishing. And if you just hang out for a second, I'll be with you in just a minute.
Right. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. My pleasure. All right, guys. Well, that will do it for our Gator Spotlight for this episode. And we will see you guys next time on Gator Spotlight.